everybody, welcome to Ask the Anabolic Doc, starring Dr. Thomas O'Connor, and brought to you by his websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. You can pick up this book here, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal, also available on amazon.com. Please welcome America's premier testosteronologist, Dr. Thomas O'Connor.
Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you, sir. Beautiful day.
Not really, but that's okay. My skin probably needs a break from being blasted in the sun every day. It's probably not the healthiest thing for my skin, right?
Yeah, up in Boston. You're up in Boston.
Yeah. And, I'm very far from you, like a 2-hour drive. So you did a video about Finasteride, and I had no idea that using Finasteride, which a lot of guys do, I looked up some quick stats, and in 2016, there were 10 million prescriptions written in the United States for Finasteride.
Wow.
The trade name Propecia. And I imagine with the wide availability of Canadian generic drugs, I bet there's another 10 million people that just ordered it online, maybe a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So first of all, what prompted you to make that video? Have you been seeing this Finasteride, what's it called? Finasteride Syndrome, or what do you call it?
Yep, it's called Post-Finasteride Syndrome.
Mm-hmm. And this is your patients have been going through this?
Yeah, so I just see themes kind of coming through, I guess. And in the last year, maybe 6 months, I've seen a lot of guys coming in, they're not steroid users per se, but guys who come in with low T to be diagnosed, and they have bad, they have low T, maybe borderline low normal. Sex drive is bad. They just don't feel good. Maybe maybe depression, but they don't really have depression or didn't have a history. And then when I ask the questions, I go to, there's an area where you're on, medicine. So what are you taking? What medicines have you taken, in the past year? Or whenever I talk to men, I always kind of sometimes I pick it up because I say, when I talk about the side effects of testosterone, I go from the head down, right? Yeah. So I say hair loss, and they go, oh, hair loss. I've been on Propecia. I've been on Finasteride since and I go, oh my, I really? Wow. And then I go into, was it after you started? And then maybe half the time or more, I'll figure out that in part it's never 100%, because nothing in medicine is really 100%. Yeah. Is that they started using the drug, and this is without testosterone. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yep. But their sex drive nosedived, and they didn't realize, and the doctors don't realize. I think certainly now, hopefully they do, but anti-aging doctors, urology doctors, primary care, these are all doctors that prescribe it, and they don't realize that even with testosterone, it's going to have an effect on your central nervous system, your sex drive, your energy, and maybe even cause frank depression. Look at the comments section on I think the most amazing aspect of my videos is not just the content, of course, is pretty cool, and it's real, it's relevant, it's really relevant, but it's the comments. Look at the comments. The guys really have this Finasteride syndrome. Some of them are so severe with depression, and some guys have suicide thoughts and all this kind of, and that kind of stuff. You think, is it really that extreme, or did it just push them over the edge, and do they have depression already? But Finasteride syndrome, or post-Finasteride syndrome, you could look it on the internet. It's got a huge organization. I think some like ORG. Wow. Like not for profit. It's like a really, big, it's legitimate. It's just fully legitimate.
This might be a dopey question, but it's called post-Finasteride syndrome. Does that mean that these symptoms typically don't manifest until you cease usage of Finasteride, or are these things that you'll experience often while you're using Finasteride?
No, after. So after the use.
So it's Finasteride. Is it? You probably had prescribed it once or twice. Is it something that you have to continually? Because I use a generic version of Rogaine minoxidil from Costco on the crown of my head here, and you have to use that all the time. If you stop using it, you stop getting the hair regrowth, and you go back to your little bald spot. is finasteride used as a more permanent hair regrowth?
Yeah, so finasteride was put out from the Fed for two things. It was for BPH, symptoms of BPH. I mean, this is incredible stuff, isn't it? That people don't know this stuff. It's so simple, and people that research online, they know all of it. So BPH is where the heart, the prostate enlarges,
Yeah.
and it's a nuisance, not prostate cancer, but as you get older, you get BPH, and that's it's just inherent to all men. Just some are, every 80-year-old man is going to have, he's not going to be peeing like a racehorse like when he was third. I mean, it just kind of, but it's a natural phenomenon. So if it gets bad, doctors use dutasteride, which is a DHT 1 and 2 blocker, and then or the old school finasteride. They're both generic now, and they will definitely block DHT receptors up here and also in the prostate, and they're also going to block DHT from your central nervous system. As a man, it likes DHT.
So we need a certain amount of DHT
Absolutely.
for sexual function. It sounds like, especially
for cognitive function, for central nervous system cognitive function, wellness. There's overlap with serotonin, dopamine, and then there's direct effects on sexual drive. So when you give this medicine to men, you can just look at the data. It can throw men over. Some men, of course, are just, I call them robots. I mean, guys are out there and they can just take almost anything. And I saw a guy last week with such low testosterone, and I said, so well, how is your? I mean, really low on paper, like less than 100.
Yeah.
And his free testosterone is proportionally equally as low. We repeated it 3 times. His doctor did. A very good doctor, and he was just going to be treated by that doctor. But he decided to get a second opinion from me. I asked him, sir, you have low T, metabolic. He just was very heavy. He lost a lot of weight, no steroids. And that's just at the age of 47, 48, 47, he just has super low T from the whole cumulative effect. I said, how's your sex drive? He goes, doc, that's the whole thing. My sex drive's pretty good.
Wow.
Very, very, very unusual.
Yeah, I've heard someone else gave a question to Dr. T recently, and they claimed that their sex drive was normal or even maybe above normal, and they had a very low T count on paper too.
It's unusual. It's just, look, there's always statistical, right? Everything's statistical. The average is the mean, the median, the mode. You're going to have a Gaussian curve. You're going to have people that are going to be the far extremes of the curve. It's just a small number of people. The average bear, I always say, right? The average bear.
Yes.
The average man, my practice is just full of the average guy. Just a statistical issue is the average guy. His testosterone, after using steroids and being elevated, he's hypersexual, right?
Yeah, of course.
He feels great, man. Men take testosterone steroids. Oh, my Lord, pinch me, doc. Am I awake? I mean, I feel phenomenal. It's just true. Yeah. It's just, no one's going to argue this. We have studies now, but is it going to hurt you and all this kind of stuff? But in the end, when men have testosterone levels that are, say, less than 300, and it doesn't even matter even how they got that way. The average guy, when he goes on testosterone and you bring it back up to 800, 700, 1,000, he feels, you ask him after a couple of months or weeks, hey, sir, how do you feel? How do you feel, chief? And he goes, woo, man. I mean, that's just the average. I mean, right, Ron?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is just the average. Steroid users use steroids. And one of the reasons why in the beginning they go, I don't know who's telling the hype here, but who wants to come off this stuff? It's because their sex drive, come on, Ron, their sex drive, they're feeling better, they're looking better, they're rock hard, not to mention they're rock hard. And the problems all happen after. But DHT is a big, big piece of this, man. It's a very crucial piece. And balancing it just by, so I have so many guys after so many years, they want to see DHT levels. I'm at your service. There's nothing illegal about checking a DHT level. What am I going to do about it? I show guys, and they use these drugs. Doc, I want to use a little bit, maybe 3 times a week or twice a week. I come and let's look at DHT. I'm at your service. Let's measure it. Woo! It's first of all, blocking DHT like estrogen is so sensitive. You could knock those down, boom, even with a teeny bit of medicine. So some guys, we look at it, we keep it within normal range, low normal DHT, and they go, I feel pretty good. But I tell you, most guys, even though on paper I could park that Volkswagen right on the dime, they just say, Doc, I feel like crap. And when I came off it, Doc, I just energy, concentration, and of course, libido, mood. They just go, Doc, I don't care about a little, I mean, it's not worth it. That's why I'm trying to get the word out. And that's men that are on testosterone when they're having androgen receptors that are getting hit by more free testosterone because they're on an ester and it's hitting the brain, but they're blocking DHT, and those guys still don't feel good.
Wow. So quick question, all these prescription drugs have a litany of side effects. You watch the TV commercials and there's a soothing voice telling you so-and-so may cause suicidal thoughts, loose bowels, they're listing all kinds of crap. Are these side effects, and we'll get into those in a second, that accompany finasteride, are those listed on like the insert that comes with the drug?
Ron, there's a couple years ago, the FDA put a warning on it. They put this is a huge news. This is why this video is so important. The feds, and I'm not for or against the government. I just live here. They put an
I always say I just work here, but anyway.
I just try to live here. I mean, I go to Vermont. I try to hide away. Try drink beer with Bernie. Hey, Bernie, I feel bad for Bernie. Bernie had a heart attack. They got some stents placed.
He's not a spring chicken. So
I mean, I'm like, Bernie, couldn't you get a calcium score? I wish Bernie came under my care.
It's too busy.
I would have had some Vermont beer with him. And come on, Bernie. I mean, he's a decent guy. I mean, he's a little wacky with the socialism and stuff, but it's like, it's okay, Bernie. We still love you.
Bernie in 2020. But so Merck, are the feds, the FDA?
The FDA years ago, not many years ago, but maybe 5, put an increased warning, like a warning. And for them to do that, it doesn't come easy. They don't do that easily. So that was real because people petitioned and they got into it. Doctors from suicide, depression, erectile dysfunction. It's real. It's fully real. Post-Finasteride Syndrome.
So you talked about the in your video. I should have gotten the exact title of your video, but guys, go to Anabolic Doc YouTube channel. It's the newest video, or it's the second newest video. You won't be able to miss it. So you describe the symptoms that these patients: poor libido, erectile dysfunction. And right there, if my wife heard that, she'd be like, I need to get you on this finasteride. So you leave me the F alone. So poor libido, erectile dysfunction, abnormal ejaculation. What does that mean?
Let me tell you, man, I see a lot. That's actually funny. It's not funny, but that's why I did the video, because the day before I did the video, I did it Saturday morning. I was trying to get out of town, go to Vermont, and looking for Bernie. And I said, another guy came in like Friday, and he said, I'm here because of most men come, they go, Doc, I have post-finasteride syndrome. The way it manifested with me was I have no ejaculate. I'm like dry cum. And like, it's like, and he go, Doc, this really happened because of this finasteride stuff. And then some guys go on testosterone to counter it. I left it out of the video. I forgot to put in the video that it's really important that going on testosterone could definitely help. Of course, you're going to want to have low normal. You got to see a doctor, but it definitely giving a man androgen with those receptors, kind of really stimulating those central nervous system receptors, it may be the only thing that cures post-finasteride syndrome. I have a couple of men that have come to me. They said, Doc, I didn't have low enough levels, so I gave myself testosterone. And I want to tell the world, I was cured. And without it, he was waiting and waiting and waiting up to 2 or 3 years So just coming off finasteride, letting his own levels, because your DHT levels will come back, but there's permanent damage. My guess is it's similar to the permanent damage that we're seeing with post-steroid anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism.
Wow.
So I got a lot of research to do, Rob. I'm a busy guy, very busy.
Clearly. So obviously those are horrible side effects, but then you have depression and low energy, which makes matters even worse because now, man, you can't have sex, you're depressed, you're tired.
Why do you want to live?
So what is finasteride? What is it even good for? I mean, if you have a receding hairline, does it stop the recession? Does hair grow back from it or not?
No. So here's what it's for, and it's every man has to make a decision for himself, Ron.
Yeah.
So it definitely, depending on who you are and your propensity for losing hair, male pattern balding, which is here and also in the back and the crown,
Yeah.
and minoxidil obviously works there. It doesn't work up in the front. You probably know that.
Yeah.
So guys will use both, right? They'll hit it
Oh.
with a heavy duty. They'll do finasteride, dutasteride, and they'll use they'll use the minoxidil for the back. I don't like to say trade names, minoxidil. We'll just say people know there's a trade name for it. So you said the generic, and that's minoxidil.
Well, I get mine at Costco. It's about a fifth the price of the trade name.
So I just don't. I want to be careful with trade names. So it's like so it works. I mean, come on. If you have no hair and you're going to take these drugs, it's not going to regrow hair.
Oh crap!
But if you're slow, so men see their hair loss starting in their 20s, of course. Every man has different fingerprint. So he's losing hair. This is a normal man with just natural levels of testosterone, not a steroid user or a testosterone guy. So it's like he'll use these drugs early to slow down. It works very well.
Mm.
It slows the train down.
I don't know if you can throw a percentage out there, but I mean, how many men percentage wise would you guesstimate experience some or all of those effects from using finasteride?
Okay, so that's a great question. I tried finding some really good data. I think there is some data out there, but I just wasn't able to put it together that I really felt it was pretty comfortable with the studies. I would say this. I would say middle-aged man, not on testosterone, taking the 1 milligram or 1.25 milligrams of finasteride that's recommended, not to mention dutasteride is even going to be more. It's a bigger dose, but they might do it every other day. I would say 75% are going to have some form of, doc, I felt something, you know what, but it was okay. And I was more important for me to really have my hair. And I was okay, doc. I think it was okay. A lot of guys, we find out guys have symptoms when they come off a drug. Yeah. And they go, wow, I didn't realize how bad that really, because it's insidious. That's a medical term.
Also a great horror movie, Insidious. But go ahead.
Insidious. Yeah. So it's like it comes on. It's like cross this line. It comes on insidiously. It just doesn't really. And then it could be really dangerous, and because you can get slow, you forget about that. That's why, and then you think, no, it can't be possible, and everything's just bad in my life, and it just these are not things that are tangible. You can't really touch these. You can't measure it like blood pressure.
Yeah, I have to go on a quick tangent because I fear people are going to talk shit because I did say I have a little thinning right back here. You could see it when you were back of me, obviously, but my dad never saw because people are going to say, well, that's because of all the juice you did, Ron. My late father never saw a steroid in his life. I don't think he ever heard the term steroid in his life, but he had a bald spot there. I have 3 older brothers and 1 younger brother, and none of them have used, I shouldn't say one of them did use steroids, but let's just say I have the most hair and the least amount of thinning out of all of them. So maybe I'm the lucky one because typically with steroids, do you see it, the hair going from a certain place? Is it the hairline more? Is it the crown more? Or it discriminate?
What a great question. I think it's whatever propensity the man has for his hair loss. It's going to be either, the temporal, that type of hair loss for men, male pattern balding, including the crown. Yeah. But it's you see guys that are bald. They kind of get there through different. In the end, they have the hair rims. They just have like the hubcap.
I call it a toilet bowl seat.
So
It looks like a toilet seat, you know?
I mean, it's a toilet. I mean, in the end, it's just like it just happens. There's no question that, come on, Ron. I mean, you see pro bodybuilders. I don't know, Jay Cutler. I guess we can say Jay Cutler. I mean, look at Jay's hair. I mean, unbelievable. I think it's thin, maybe a little now, but maybe not.
Oh, that guy's got a crop.
I mean, he looks like that cartoon guy with the great
Johnny
hair.
Johnny
Yeah,
Bravo.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, it's like, come on. And then you remember, I mean, remember coming out of high school, you got guys losing their hair anyway, and they're not on steroids. So it's just, come on, guy. It's just 100% a credible spectrum. And then when you take androgens, there's no question, Ron, that it speeds up the train, either depending on so many variables, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and sooner or later, you get older. Mine thinned out too, but only in the last couple of years because I'm just getting older too. I mean, come on.
I mean, I remember a couple kids that I graduated with, but one in particular, a kid named Andy. I won't say his last name because we were kind of friends. No, we were friends. He had lost. He was naturally very, very stocky and muscular. As far as I know, he never touched a steroid. I don't think he needed to. He might be obese by now. He had that look of somebody who could
Yeah,
get
thick,
very fat if he
thick.
wasn't
Yeah.
careful. But big boned, big wide shoulders. He was short, but he had lost. You could see that was when we were about 17 or 18. I bet he was fully bald by the time he was 25,
Genetic.
30. Yeah, at the latest. Here's a question for you, Doc. You might know it. We always hear that baldness comes from the mom or the dad or the grandfather or the cousin. Is there any actual data that says if your mom's family had a full head of hair or your dad's family or if this one was bald?
I really think I actually don't know, and there is some science. I think it's the mom. I think it's the mom's side of like her dad. It's like that side. But there's like, there's X and Y sex genes, Y chromosomal. There's all sorts of different links, recessive and dominant traits. I don't think it's going to be ever like fully 100%, penetrance, but it is true. There are definitely genes, and I think they do run through the maternal
Okay.
side, the men and the maternal side, obviously. And so
I
that's
think it gets confusing because I don't know what the stats are, but I'm sure by the time most men are 50, they have some kind of hair loss.
absolutely. I
So
mean, there's
you can't.
there's only a few guys. You ever see the guy? You'll be standing in line, or I was thinking like at a wake or something, and you look at the guy and you go, God, that he might be white hair, but
Right.
it's like it's thick. Some farmer guy, and he's like 79, he's like 80, and he's got the best hair, like right, like in the
Yeah.
nothing in the back. It looks like if you dyed it, or maybe it is dyed, it would look like your 13-year-old sons. I mean, like, just rock solid. That's
There-
just genetic.
yeah. There's a guy at my gym, and I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say he's about 60, maybe 65. And I've studied him. I've stalked him because I said, how can this guy have so much hair? And I'm looking for like plug lines. I'm looking for. First, I thought it was a wig or something, and it looks legit. I've been about this close to his head, going, He doesn't know I'm looking at him,
Oh
but
my God.
he's probably about 65, and it's like a big bushy mass of thick hair, just thick, luxurious hair. It's crazy.
It's just great genetics. You just wish it would be. You know what? I was in a restaurant. I don't want to say, and Mexican guy. I was in Mexico. I love. That's actually my Mexican diploma up there. I'm very proud of that.
What?
Yeah, I went to
That's where you
Mexico.
went to med school?
Started off that down there, and I transferred back to New York. So I got both. I got both. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
it was. Yeah, we can go down there. You can leave the country for a while and come back if you want. So I was very humbled to be down there. And some of those guys, they have some of the best, richest, thickest hair,
Mm.
in the world. That's North America, even Central American men. They just have, you ever sick, it's thick. It's
Oh,
just a
yeah.
lot of genetic traits, but they can lose their hair too. But you just wish we could figure that out and put the hair plugs in without looking so bad though, Ron.
And you know what's another thing? I'm gonna get a lot of Persians mad at me right now. Persians have a hairline that's like down like an inch over their eyebrow. I've never seen one with a receding hairline.
It's true.
It's yeah,
I talked to a Persian guy today, and
yeah,
I was looking at his hair
yeah.
on the Zoom, and I was like, Jesus, this guy's got great hair. And
Right.
we're talking about just And we're talking about androgens, and he's been on them. And I was looking at his hair going, I guess one of the side effects we're not going to talk about is hair loss. He's laughed. He just laughed at me.
Okay, so let's do a service to your viewers, our viewers. Now, a lot of them are going to say, I don't want anything to do with this finasteride. This sounds like trouble. I don't want to have my libido, my erections, my ejaculations, depression. I don't want all that. What are the best options that you would give your patients if they said, Doc, well, what can I do about my hair?
So I that's why when I talk to men about when I'm prescribing testosterone, I take it very seriously. I go from the head down and I start with hair loss. I say, look, if first of all, most guys who come to me are already on testosterone, so it's usually we don't spend too much time on it because they're already on testosterone for years from a steroid user, from a regular guy on testosterone. So they already know what's going on. And I say, look, if you're a brand new guy, if you're a virgin and you have low T now, not steroid user, because those guys know typically, obviously, right? And I say, look, if you're going to go on testosterone, it's going to affect you, and I won't feel comfortable giving you finasteride. I used to 10 years ago, and I've learned. I learn as I go, right? You learn as you go. So I say, look, what can you do? Don't take. And there are guys, Ron, that have done consults with me, and they get to that point, and they go, Doc, there's no way around that. It's going to affect my hair. I got to be honest with you, sir. I'm not a bullshit guy. Yes. I don't know. We got to sit around and wait, but it's going to be permanent. I can't get that back. No. Stand up, shake my hand. Doc, you're a good doctor. See you later.
Wow.
So I don't play the game. But here's what I learned. If you have pretty good hair, like I'm at the point where still got hair, it's there, it's lined up, it's not it's called reforestation. I made that up. Reforestation project. Okay. Like when they fit, you have thin woods and it's not completely bare yet, but you want to people don't, the eye doesn't really notice it. So if you go to a very good hair restoration, no names mentioned, I'm not going to say the corporate, if you go to a good surgeon and the stuff now, man, I know I've said this on maybe your interview or some other interviews not long ago, because I was looking at a guy not long ago, a pretty, little famous kind of actor that came in, and I looked at him. Yeah, it was cool. And I go, wow. He goes, yep, Doc, get over here. You're going to want to get over here. Look at that hair. And I was like you, Ron. I was up there with a magnifying glass. And he goes, that's a really well done reforestation of before I lost my hair. So I was like, wow. It looked not like the horrible, those dimples, they get the pimples.
They look like doll hair. You can see the little dots where they
doll hair. It was like, and he was, look, you want to get it done early, you want to go to a great guy, and it's going to cost, I don't know, 10 grand, 40, 20, 30 grand, but they put that stuff in individually, and he didn't have a reaction to it. A lot of that's that bad. It's a reaction, and you see that inflammation of the follicle. I mean, I've learned a lot doing this stuff, right? Even with hair. So if you do it early, they just thicken it up. You don't see that. The scar.
I don't understand. What is it? Is it your hair or what is it?
Yeah. So hair over here, Ron.
Yeah.
There's hair in your back, Ron, is completely free of DHT receptors.
Oh. Well, that's why you don't lose it there.
The toilet bowl. So they for years have known that if you see there's a line, they'll go underneath and you'll see that line. Apparently, I mean, I try to keep up on all the stuff related to testosterone, and hair loss is one of them. Yeah. They take it, they transplant. It's a hair transplant, Ron. It's no joke.
But it's your hair. That's cool.
It's your hair, and
your body won't reject it because it's yours.
No, exactly. No prednisone, no CellCept. It's not like a kidney transplant. So very interesting. They're getting better and better at the technology, and it's like 10 grand for me if I had to do it. I didn't see the guy yet, but I'm just like, oh God, I guess I better do it one of these days. I better get my face. I'm 55 now, Ron.
Yeah, well, we're the same age. I just turned 50. It's all the same to me now.
It's pretty much. I mean, so I'm just like, I still go like that. My my heart still. I broke a personal record on my mountain bike this weekend. It's at Vermont. I got up something that I've never gotten up before, and I've been
K2,
doing
Washington. That's New Hampshire.
no pretty some. It was over at the where was I? Adams Camp. I climbed up some gnarly rock, garden that it's just like usually my heart explodes before I get up to this thing. I was like, holy crap! All the therapies are working.
Did the poodle make the climb too?
Poodle definitely
Okay.
slipped down though and fell, and
Oh,
the poodle made the climb.
the,
Yeah,
the poodle fell?
the poodle he slips off stuff.
Oh, poor guy.
He slides back on stuff, but he gets up, and then he can't get down stuff that I'll jump off. He goes around. He takes a beeline.
Okay. I'm just worried about your poodle there.
He's okay.
I don't want him in any danger.
He's an expert. He's an expert mountain bike poodle.
Okay, so you're not going to get any brownie points from Merck today, Doc. I'm sorry, but they still hold the patent on the trade name Finasteride, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe so.
and people still use it, I'm sure, but it's all generic though.
Yeah, I mean, as it should be, because we'll talk about the big pharma some other time, or maybe not, because
I
I don't want to get assassinated or anything.
I don't.
So
They don't like. YouTube doesn't like it apparently when you talk of trade names again. I don't know.
oh geez, because I was going to call this could I use the title Finasteride in this safely?
No, you can't. No, Ron, that's generic. You could.
Oh, that's just okay, because the trade name is Propecia. Okay.
Yeah.
If I said Propecia is bad for you, then I might get.
But I think if the thumbnails are Finasteride, I just try to be a good citizen, not to piss people off. But that we learned that, I learned that over the years, and okay, we were like, okay, no worries, we'll use generics.
Well, doctor, thank you. This has been very informative, and there's a lot of guys out there, I'm sure, watching this who use or have used Finasteride, and I imagine some of them have experienced these symptoms and had no idea that there was a link. They just thought, my body's going to hell. I don't know why.
It's true though, guys. It is so true. Spread the word around. The worst case scenario is you come off it and the hair. I'm not putting the narcissism and whatever you have if you're suffering, but isn't it true though? If you're educated, look at the comments. So many guys have experienced it and they're sharing their stuff. And if you take an average, you'll see that some guys exaggerate, but not to put them down. That might have been that bad for them. But the average bear is going to be like, I don't know that it's really worth it for me. And that was a problem. And maybe they go on testosterone to help really fix up some of those issues that have occurred from it permanently. Or maybe they just come off. But we just love to give information, Ron.
Yeah, because I mean, there are drugs out there. Either you can use Accutane to clear up some horrible acne and deal with the side effects for Accutane are just horrific. But
yeah,
everybody's got to make that decision. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? So maybe to some guys, this Finasteride, maybe for them it is worth it.
And hair transplants are getting better and better all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Keanu Reeves, who you just saw no, I don't know if it was Keanu, but the famous actor. I'm just taking a guess because I'm a big fan of the John Wick series. But yeah, if it's done right, I imagine it's flawless like that. So
it does. It looks phenomenal if they do it early enough, apparently, to kind of mix in with your own. I guess I don't know. I guess over time you're going to need to do more and more and more. It makes sense to me, but technology's gotten more and more advanced. The only problem is it's 10 to 30 grand. But it is what it is. Gynecomastia surgery, Ron. $5 grand, $8 grand.
Oh, I've never heard of it that cheap.
Oh, I'm okay. Even more than 10 grand. Yeah.
I mean, eight to 10 is what I'm always. 8 to 10 is like the average I've heard, but
I'm seeing a lot of guys get it for $5 grand with we don't have to talk about who that guy, doctor, blah blah blah. I don't like that guy anymore because I think he's not humble. He's just not humble. Not a humble physician. He's telling patients that he does $8,000 each, and he does like 3 a day, and then he's got some Ferraris. I'm a capitalist, but it just doesn't go over well, when you're saying, hey, I'm making $24,000 a day, and I'm going to be done in about 20 minutes. That's just too cocky and arrogant. So that man needs to be humble. He needs to be humble, and you know what? guys, there's a lot more doctors out there that are plastic surgeons that do an equally good job.
Well, I'm going to plug a guy in my area. Is that okay?
Please, yeah, please.
Because he's operated on so many guys I know. Dr. Rick Silverman, who is also a bodybuilder. He was a pro natural bodybuilder. Does great work. He did my wife's boobs one time. He did her hernia another time. He did a friend's boobs. He's done gyno surgery on so many guys in the New England area. A lot of very top names that you would know if I rattled them off.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I've heard of him, Ron. I've heard of him. I've heard of that guy.
He's a good dude, so I figured I'd give him a little shout out. Dr. Rick.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. God bless.
And he's a meathead. I love, he's another meathead. So
got to keep the money in the business with the meatheads, right?
So, all right. Well, thank you, Doctor. I want to encourage everyone for the fact-filled video. You have to go to his video, which is on his channel, Anabolic Doc on YouTube. Great videos on there every week. Sometimes he's adventurous and does 2 videos a week. Go out and pick up America on Steroids, A Time to Heal. You can get that on Amazon.com or on the doctor's websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. And finally, for those of you saying, how can I contact the doctor? Well, there you go. Anabolicdoc.com, there's a contact, metabolicdoc.com. And do you have testosterology.com now?
Testosterology is the main one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's just the word testosterone. And instead of the E at the end, you put OLOGY. I got it.
Ron, you got it, Ron. Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect.
Cool. Doctor, thank you so much for taking the time, sharing your knowledge and your expertise. And guys, thank you for watching. If you guys have any suggestions for videos, because I steal his videos, but put them in the comments below. If you have questions, maybe we'll do a Q&A. I'll leave it up to you guys, you viewers. We're here to serve you. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.